Coming up on this edition of Shelby This Week, it's tax season, and that means everyone is rushing to get their refunds. But we'll tell you about the one thing you may be doing with your documents that's slowing your return down. And a social media post causing controversy. Find out why staff at the Humane Society of Macomb are upset over the issue that's pulling them away from their more important work with their animals. And a major auto supplier is coming to the Cherry Creek Corporate Park. Which one and how many jobs are being created from it is next. Also, the state cuts funds. New terms are opening up on the Mental Health Board. We'll tell you how you can get involved. All of these stories plus many more right now. Topping our news this week, as you file for your tax returns, identity theft may be a concern. We talked with local police who say all an identity thief needs is your social security number.
If anybody provides a social security number that is yours when they go to another employment, they're basically filing under your number. So if there's a discrepancy, you're going to get notified by the IRS, so they will follow up on those. And if they just use the social security number, that's what it's hitting on.
Officer Schmittler says if your identity is stolen, the burden of proof falls on you, but there are ways to protect yourself.
Watch your information. There's a lot of breaches. You can go to the irs.com. You can fill out some information where you have a specific logon so nobody can use your information. File early. That will help protect you.
Luckily, no identity thefts have been reported in the last month in Shelby Township. And state treasury officials say there's something you can do to speed up the process of getting your refund. If you file the old-fashioned way, don't staple your tax documents. Staples tend to rip or cause holes in the records, requiring staff to take extra time to rescan and process the documents. Instead, use a binder clip or paper clip or a rubber band, or you could always file online. If you've ever wanted to give back to the community and represent people who may not be able to represent themselves, you may be able to do so. Nick Buckler tells us about the seats opening on the Community Mental Health Board later this month.
The Macomb County Community Mental Health Board has 4 terms that are expiring at the end of March, and they're looking to fill those seats. The board provides service to consumers in the community with mental and physical disabilities, regardless if they are able to pay for the service or not.
You want to go to the library or you want to go to the town parade, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to have the local opportunities as well too. And that's what this is about. We're in the 21st century here, and we ought to start treating our consumers with much more opportunity to live lives of full engagement as we live lives of full engagement.
If you're interested in applying for this board, you can head to MacombBOC.com. For Shelby This Week, I'm Nick Buckler.
We've told you about the changes and improvements being made over the last few months at the Humane Society of Macomb. The new leadership there has been focused on turning a new page, but our Stacy Santatera tells us about a social media post that's causing controversy for the staff all over a dog named Chewy.
We all watched him leave to go to his new home, and he was just wagging his tail the whole time. The dad pulled the car up, and the kids got in, and we're all excited, and Chewy just jumped right in.
Finding a forever home for an animal is the top priority for the Humane Society of Macomb.
When we adopt an animal out to somebody, the first thing that we do is we have an adoption form that they fill out.
The adoption form gives them vital information to help determine that an animal goes to the right family.
That criteria includes things like, have they been good to the pets they've had in the past? How have they treated them? Have they been up to date on their shots? Have they been seeing a veterinarian on a regular basis? Is the animal licensed? Things like that.
So we take into consideration every single aspect of the new home. Not only do we do Google searches of the houses, it's a collaboration from staff. We all put our input on each and every dog that leaves the shelter.
Rachel is talking about animals like Chewy that came to the shelter from Flint after being confined to a kennel for 1 year.
The day that they brought him here, we had a big sign out on the front of our door that just said, "Welcome Chewy to your new temporary home," etc. And people were all pleased that they saw that we were welcoming Chewy into our family of animals.
So we worked every day with him. We got him out. We exposed him to new people, to new environments. And we really did our best to make sure that he was going to be successful in his new home.
And with all that hard work socializing Chewy, he was finally ready to find his forever home.
The lady that came in to adopt Chewy came in with 2 little kids. We went through the same exact procedure that we go through with every other person that's adopting an animal. She had done well with her animals in the past. She had everything checked out perfectly.
But after weeks with his new family, animal activists wanted an update on Chewy.
We did, in fact, though, reach out to the family for another update, and they said he's doing fantastic. So we let people know.
And she sent me 4 pictures of Chewy.
But that wasn't enough for those asking.
I was happy to get those pictures from her. I could see that Chewy was very happy. And of course, the minute I shared the pictures with the people that were interested, they saw everything that they could possibly see wrong with the pictures.
But even with the proof of pictures, rumors began swirling on social media.
Immediately, I have people thinking that the dog is in China and the stress the dog went through to travel to China and things like this. Another picture showed the dog was stretched out full stretch, and you could see some of the dog's ribs. Of course, that means the dog is being underfed and is not being taken care of correctly. When we adopted the animal out, we try to get the best picture that we can from the animal, and we always try to see if we can get them to smile. It doesn't happen very regularly. In the case of Chewy, it did. But the picture that came back, of course, Chewy didn't smile this time, so that shows that Chewy is very sad now in his new environment.
And with all this false negative information being splashed all over social media, it has become a big concern for the staff.
I'm concerned, like, who would want to adopt an animal from us now, knowing that they can be threatened and harassed by a stranger? And I wouldn't want to adopt an animal and have someone come after me just because they saw one picture that they interpreted in a way that they wanted to.
Because we're taking valuable time away from the animals that we really are here to protect, to focus on something that is just kind of silly in its nature.
My biggest concern is definitely that we're going to lose people coming into our shelter to adopt the amazing animals we have.
And when things like this happen to us, there's not a lot we can say other than we have followed our procedure, and we know our procedure works because we've had very good success with it.
And because of this unfortunate incident, new policies have been put into place.
We have a new policy that we will not share pictures of adopters taking animals home, and it's so sad because that's my favorite part. It's really taken away from our positive image because we like to share those things so people can see what we're doing in the community and that we really work with adopters. And now we can't even do that anymore, and it's frustrating.
Despite this recent drama, the Humane Society of Macomb wants people to know that finding a forever home is truly what it's all about. The staff feels confident that with the procedures put into place during the changes this past year, they are doing exactly that.
You know, I came into this shelter with a lot of people knowing my involvement in the rescue community and in shelters, and knowing that they could trust that I was going to do right by all these animals that walk through the door. And unfortunately, some people have tried to take that away from me, to say that that I'm lying just to make myself look better, that I didn't care enough to check on an animal. And I worked with Chewy so much to make him adoptable, and I care about him. And if he was in a bad situation, by all means, I would go myself and get him out of it.
We are 100% certain that Chewy is safe, in a good home, and is reacting very well to his new surroundings.
For Shelby This Week, I'm Stacy Sansatera.
And back to those improvements we've touched on. If you'd like to see previous stories on the changes the new staff have made, we have them up on our Shelby TV Facebook page. And a helpful reminder, it's time to spring forward. Daylight saving time will begin this Sunday, March 12th at 2 a.m. So remember to turn your clock forward 1 hour. And while we may be losing an hour of sleep, at least it will stay lighter longer as we head into the spring and summer months. Next on Shelby This Week, we'll tell you how you can help families in Macomb County by donating an Easter dinner. And you'll be surprised to learn there is such thing as a healthy carbohydrate. Leaving behind the myths of things like the Atkins diet, we'll tell you how to incorporate good carbs into your meal plan next.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
A new piece of legislation submitted by Representative Peter Lucido has been approved by the House Insurance Committee. The bill would allow drivers to share an electronic proof of registration during the course of a traffic stop. Law enforcement officials would be able to confirm registration by taking your device to their vehicle or request the documentation be forwarded by email or text. This is also part of Representative Lucido's plan to take another step into the 21st century. And Representative Lucido took some time away from his work to raise money and jump into freezing cold water, all for a good cause. Decked out in his Italian colors, he participated in the third polar plunge that took place right at the Capitol in Lansing. He raised hundreds of dollars for the Special Olympics of Michigan. In our schools, Utica Community Schools is among a select number of Michigan districts to receive staff development resources to support its computer science courses. Teachers will receive the resources as part of its partnership with the nonprofit group Code.org. The training will come from the Michigan Mathematics and Science Centers Network. Expanded training will provide students with advanced education on computer sciences and coding in high school and junior high. For elementary students, they'll be able to be introduced to things like digital footprints, coding, and algorithms. UCS Superintendent Christine Johns says these experiences will give students a competitive edge for the top-paying jobs of the future. Code.org says in the country there are more than 500,000 computer jobs available and more than 14,000 in Michigan alone. Parents of kids starting kindergarten in Utica Community Schools this fall, registration is coming up. Open houses will be held at all 25 elementary schools on Wednesday, March 15th at 7 p.m. Parents will have the opportunity to learn about kindergarten programs, meet the teachers, and submit registration forms. Kids are eligible for kindergarten if they turn 5 years old on or before September 1st of this year. Special waivers must be signed for kids who turn 5 between September 1st and December 1st in order to be eligible. Things to bring to the open house include your child's birth certificate, their health immunization records, your photo ID, and proof of residency like a property tax bill or lease agreement. Registration forms and more information can be found at www.uticak12.org. If you're looking to give back this Easter, the Samaritan House is sponsoring a drive. The Samaritan House is putting together boxes to provide their clients with a meal for Easter. Types of things they're looking for are applesauce, cake mix, boxed mashed potatoes, and other non-perishable goods.
We're also in need of $15 gift cards to either Sheena's, Myers, or Kroger. This enables our client to purchase the meat of their choice to accompany their Easter dinner.
And you can be assured all of the boxes are going to families in need in Macomb County.
So we have an active client base. Their file has to be complete. They have to give us all the information we need to make sure they're eligible. Everything's on the up and up. We do, make sure that that the people that we're helping, that there really is a need for it. So we send them out a letter, they RSVP, and then we tell them what days. This year it's April 11th and 12th. We'll be passing out the food boxes.
The Samaritan House is hoping to pack 220 boxes to feed 220 families or 800 individuals. If you'd like to participate, you could drop off your donations by April 4th to the Samaritan House and receive a donation receipt. For more information, head to SamaritanHouseMichigan.org. Whether you're trying to start on that beach body now or just trying to eat healthier, there are no reasons to cut back on carbohydrates. I went to Vincent Joe's to talk with a personal trainer about healthy carbs and the difference between good and bad ones. So Eric, we're at Vincent Joe's and now we're talking carbohydrates. So what are carbs?
So basically carbs, these are like our main macronutrient for our energy source. And when we break carbs down, they're broken down into two different types. They're broken down into simple and complex carbohydrates.
That's a bunch of mumbo jumbo I need more on.
Yeah, so basically, when we talk about simple carbohydrates, when we digest, like for instance, our simple carbohydrates are going to be like our candies, our cookies, our white breads, kind of the very, very starchy carbohydrates, okay? So when we digest these carbohydrates, they're broken down into the digestive tract very, very quickly. So there's a mass amount of glucose that's rushed into the bloodstream, okay? What ends up happening is the body's actually going to sense this, and it's going to signal the pancreas to release a hormone called insulin, which we've all heard of.
Yeah.
So once insulin's released, what ends up happening is insulin's job is to take the glucose molecule and shuttle it into the muscle cell, okay? And that's stored as something called glycogen, or stored sugar.
Okay.
Make it simple. What ends up happening, though, is when there's a massive influx in glucose, if that glucose isn't burned as energy, what ends up happening is the body goes ahead and stores it as fat, okay?
Okay.
So when like I said, when we're talking about simple carbohydrates, those are the ones we kind of want to try to stick away from. The ones that we really want to start to tap into are the real clean carbohydrates, and these are our complex carbohydrates.
It's kind of backwards. You would think you would want simple because simple seems like it's natural and organic, but so complex is the word that we want.
Yeah, complex are the ones that we really want to key in on.
And you went shopping here at Vincent Joe's to pick up some carbs. Tell us what we've got here. I know that this was found in the frozen food section, and you said that this was a really good thing to eat, and I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, so this is Ezekiel bread. Vincent Joe's sells this. There's not a lot of food places that actually do sell this, so Vincent Joe's does have this. The reason why it's actually inside the frozen section is because it's 100% whole grain.
Wow.
And there's no preservatives in it, so they actually have to freeze it rather than the other white breads that you'll see out in the store. They don't freeze because there's preservatives in that one. So there's no preservatives, so that's why you'll find this one in the freezer section. And a lot of people kind of miss this one just because they don't know it's there.
Do you buy this? Do you eat this?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then how long, because it is in the freezer section, how long do you have to kind of finish this loaf without it going bad?
You know what? I mean, I've had it for months at a time that I keep in there because I usually buy all my carbohydrates in bulk. But I go through a loaf of this probably once every 3 days just because of my diet.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you have to. But once again, like I said, it's a great clean carbohydrate. It's a complex carbohydrate, and once again, you're going to get that slow release of glucose response and slow release of insulin response as well.
So, okay, so we're talking about carbs, and I actually had just decided I was going to go on a 2-week no-carb diet.
Yeah.
You did not seem very enthused by this.
No. See, one of the biggest misconceptions is that carbohydrates, we need them. They're one of our main energy sources within our body. When it comes to actually developing strategies around carbohydrates, it's about manipulating the carbohydrate and actually making sure that you're taking the right type of carbohydrate in. For instance, the complex carbohydrates that we have here. Some of those are going to be examples like oatmeal, whole grain pasta, which this one contains, I think, about 55 grams of whole grain. Your whole grain brown rice, your whole grain black rice, whole grain cereals, whole grain quinoa, couscous, and sweet potatoes.
Yeah, some sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
So these are good to eat.
Absolutely.
These are healthy. I can take these on a no-carb diet.
You'd be on a carb diet if you took them.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Eric. And next week, we're going to talk with Eric about fats, which will be really fun.
Excellent.
Still ahead on Shelby this week, we're celebrating Women's History Month. Find out when these figurines will hit store shelves and just who they are and how they got to be toys. Charlie?
A DNA kit promises to tell you exactly where you come from. All you have to do is spit in a tube and send it back to a lab. But does it really work? I'll check it out coming up.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
March is Women's History Month, and it's already been kicked off with an inspiring new toy for kids. LEGO created the Women of NASA set. The set turns historic NASA employees into figurines. From left to right, the set includes Margaret Hamilton, Katherine Johnson, Sally Ride, Nancy Grace Roman, and Mae Jemison. It was designed by Maya Winstock, who won a LEGO idea contest. She and NASA hope these figurines will encourage more girls to dream about STEM jobs. The toys are already in the production stage, scheduled to hit store shelves in late 2017 or early next year. In sports, the Eisenhower girls varsity basketball team faced off against Stony Creek in the district semifinal game. And the Ike hockey team went up against Rochester United in the regional semifinal game. Our Austin Lass has highlights from both of those games.
Detroit Skating Club in Bloomfield Hills is the site for hockey regional semifinal action as your Eisenhower Eagles take on Rochester United. It would be all Rochester United in the first period, as they would take a 2-0 lead off goals from number 9, Matt Byers, and number 10, Andrew Carroll. The Eagles would come soaring back in the second period as Keegan Nolan takes a shot, gets his own rebound, and puts it in the back of the net. Then Andrew DeBrango sends a rainbow pass to Matthew Haste, and Haste ties the game at 2 with this beautiful wrist shot. Andrew DeBrango would get another assist as he takes this feed and puts a perfectly placed one-timer on the stick of Zach Hamilton, giving the Eagles their first lead of the game at 3-2. But Rochester United would quickly respond as number 5, Matthew Hawk, gets the rebound and puts it home, tying the game at 3. Eisenhower would reclaim the lead before the end of the second period as Matthew Haste finds Troy McLaughlin for the one-timer, putting the Eagles up 4-3. And now in the third period, Matthew Haste would net his second goal of the game as he roofs this wrist shot, putting the Eagles up 5-3. Rochester United would get back within 1 goal as number 18, Alex DeMarco, tips this one home. But senior Chad Ritchie would close the game out for Eisenhower, and the Eagles would go on to win from a final score of 7-4, advancing to the regional final to take on Detroit Catholic Central. Utica High School is the site for girls basketball district semifinal action as your Eisenhower Eagles take on the Stony Creek Cougars. Emily Eckhout gets the scoring started for the Cougars as she banks it off the glass and in. Lauren DeBow gets the scoring started for the Eagles as she hits the floater off the heel of the rim and in. Allie Voss takes the dish from Emily Eckhout and buries the wide open triple. On the other end, Lauren DeBow answers with a 3-ball of her own. DeBow then finds Malin Kosnick, who lays it off the glass and in. Then Morgan Porter gets in on the action with a deep 2-point jumper. But Sabrina Ravine keeps the Cougars at bay with another triple as the Eagles take the lead into the halftime break. And the Eagles would continue to take over in the second half as Lauren DeBow gets on a breakaway and lays it off the glass and in. Then Lauren DeBow finds Olivia Gulias in the short corner, and she hits the wide open 3. Alexis Smith takes another pass from DeBow and lays it up and in. And Eisenhower would go on to win from a final score of 43-32, advancing to take on Rochester Adams in the district final.
The Eisenhower girls basketball team went on to lose in the district final against Rochester Adams 46-50. The boys hockey team lost in the regional final to Detroit Catholic Central 5-2. Ever wonder if you're really Italian or Polish, German or Irish? A simple DNA kit promises to tell you exactly where your ancestors came from, but there are a lot of unanswered questions about how it works. It's had the Shelby TV staff talking, and now Charlie Cadotto is checking it out. Charlie?
Yeah, it's called Ancestry DNA. It's the largest genealogy company in the world, and millions of people have been checking it out, including the staff here at Shelby TV. But how much does it really tell us about our lives? Check it out.
Utter surprise. This is the Italian Greece range. I grew up thinking that I was 50% Italian, my sister's 50% Polish. Utter surprise.
Kelly is the news director here at Shelby TV. She claims she's Italian and Polish. She eats this fancy pasta and can pronounce words like La Cucina del Vino.
Some said that we are Polish. Some said that we're actually Austrian, and because borders are constantly changing, and I just thought maybe I would get more of an answer.
So Kelly bought this DNA kit for $100. It came in the mail, she spit in this tube and mailed it off to a DNA lab. A month later, the results came in.
It more said that I was East European, but the percentages came out crazy.
So crazy, she got some news the family never expected.
The biggest surprise, though, was that I'm actually 6% Jewish.
That's right, Jewish. Kelly says she had no idea. In fact, her aunts say, this kid is garbage.
Why am I only 31% Italian? You know, my aunts swear that our ancestors are all 100% Italians, that they grew up in the same town, they come from the same country. Obviously, we don't.
Ancestry DNA promises to carefully examine your genetic code. They extract DNA from a small saliva sample and use genetic science to examine family relationships. It's almost unbelievable.
There are so many things that I could say, well, I don't believe it, but it's in the DNA, and you have to trust it.
So I'm giving it a try. I'm 100% Lebanese. This is me. This is my family. We're as Lebanese as they get. My friends here at the station, though, they're placing bets.
I think you're gonna get some surprises. I think you think you're 100% Lebanese, but maybe you have some ancestors that crossed over the borders a couple times. I'm gonna call it, you're not 100%.
All right, well, Kelly is doubting me. We'll have to check out those results when they come back in just a couple of weeks, and we'll see if they're really true. I mean, really opens up the question, are we really what we think we are? Back to you.
Now you too can discover your roots. The DNA kit is available online for $100. Just head to Ancestry.com and stay with us as we await Charlie's test results. And that's it for us here at Shelby This Week. You can watch us all the time on shelbytv.org and on our Facebook page. Just search Shelby TV. Now, before we go, we'd like to extend our deepest condolences to Supervisor Rick Stathakis and his family. The supervisor's son, John, passed away at the age of 25. John had a history of seizures, and he was found last week unresponsive and couldn't be revived. John encouraged people to laugh more and worry less and to be kind to one another. From all of us here at Shelby TV, we are sending our thoughts to the Stathakis family.